Welcome to today's episode of the show. I'm your host, Dr. Aziz, and today we're going to be talking about a choice that you can make literally today, and not even just once today, I'd say dozens of times per day, that determines the course of the rest of your life. That sounds dramatic, but actually it's a very significant choice. And it's a choice of courage versus comfort. Courage versus comfort. I'm going to break that whole thing down in this episode. Before I do, a couple quick things. One, if you are not watching this, you could be watching me. You could see my face talking to you. So maybe you're used to listening to the show on iTunes or Spotify or wherever else you're getting it from. But we also are now doing a YouTube version of said show where you can actually watch the episodes, me talking to you as I record them, and it gives another level of depth. So go to YouTube and check out Shrink for the Shy Guy. That's the name of the channel, Shrink for the Shy Guy on YouTube. Also, if you've been benefiting from this show, this is maybe not your first episode, and you're enjoying the amazing free content, then please go give it a review on wherever you might listen to it, iTunes or Spotify, so that others can find it as well. Because that's ultimately what I'm doing here, and what the point of all this is to help reach people who are struggling, people who are stuck. You know, many years ago, you might know this origin story, but I was in the depths of a lot of social anxiety and niceness, and also, to boot, chronic pain, and a good old hefty dose of self-loathing, and pretty discouraged or hopeless about my future. And the worst part about it was that's what I thought, not just what my life was currently, but what it could be. And the reason it had to stay as it was, basically, was because there was something wrong with me. There was something deficient with me. There's something just, I don't know, but not quite all there with me. And I know there are millions of people, hundreds of millions, maybe even billions of humans that believe that right now. And maybe you believe that too, or believed, past tense, and listening to this show has inspired you and given you some tools and a sense that it's possible. Or maybe you're still on that journey. And but regardless, let's help our brothers and sisters out, man. Because at some point, when I really started to get that liberation was possible, I decided to dedicate my life to doing this. So I'm about to turn 40. And I'll be doing this until I'm 400. No, but I don't know, till I'm done. Maybe 90. Knock on wood. Maybe a little more, a little less. But who knows? I'm here now, and if you want to be someone's hero, then link them up with something from this show, and maybe it'll really inspire and help them. And maybe it's this episode, because maybe you got a friend who's a coward. No, I'm kidding. But it's about courage versus comfort, right? So let's talk about that now. This is the choice you're making. Do you choose courage or do you choose comfort? Now, it might not seem like comfort might be an obvious choice, right? Like, what do you do when you're choosing comfort? Well, there's the obvious stuff. That's the cookie, the chips, the burger, the boiga, that's what my little son, 6-year-old, he doesn't say burger, he says boiga. It's almost like he's got a New Jersey accent or something, but he's not. He's from Oregon. Anyway, that's also the dopamine, the flicking on the internet and doing whatever, the porn, the avoidance. It's also avoidance of challenging things. It's avoidance of the physical workout or the mental workout to do your to-do list or whatever it is, right? So we all kind of know what choosing comfort is like. It's the path of least resistance. It's the easy path. It's the avoidance path. You might be familiar. And in fact, that's a useful thing to reflect on right now. How much have you been choosing the comfort path? Shame on you. No. That's not the point of this, of any of this confidence growth. You cannot shame your way to more confidence. You cannot beat yourself to self-love and self-esteem. It's ridiculous. So the key thing, though, is to look at what have I been choosing. Now, is the opposite of choosing comfort what? What is the opposite of choosing comfort? You might say, well, it's choosing discomfort. Yeah. I mean, kind of in a purely semantic way, you could say that, but you could get yourself some discomfort by just taking a hammer and smashing it against your hand bones. That's discomfort right there, but it's kind of idiotic, right? Like, why would you do that? So the idea, though, is that the opposite of comfort in this case might be courage. What? Well, why is that? And another thing, I'll give another potential opposite as well. Just helping you think outside the box here. Nothing I'm saying is absolute, and I'll fight somebody on like, no, the opposite is this. Like, we're just exploring here. We're just trying to open up your sense of possibility. Because when I lived in that cage and I was super stuck, there was no sense of possibility. There were no multiple perspectives and ways to look at something. This is how it is, and I'm effed up. That's how it was back then. Now this is how it is, and I'm effing awesome. So, the same is true for you, by the way. A whole perspective shift can occur inside of you without anything external changing yet. And then, of course, as you have that perspective shift, then things outside of you start to change. I see this all the time in people that coach with me in my mastermind program where, they're single, they have a hard time dating, maybe they don't like their job, maybe they feel like they're not getting enough respect in their family or other social relationships, they're too nice. And even before they've gone out, putting their name out there or going on a bunch of dates or trying to make any of that stuff happen, we just start working on their core confidence. What's your relationship with you? How do you see yourself? How do you talk to yourself? What do you believe about yourself? And they start to address that. And then all of a sudden, the external world around them starts to change because confidence is an inside job. So when you make a different choice towards from comfort, what you could be choosing, I'm going to invite, is courage. So what is courage? Well, courage requires a couple components, right? It is to persist or move forward or take the action in the face of fear. So you have to have a couple things going on there to experience courage. You have to experience fear, and then you have to make a choice to pursue the thing that's meaningful to you, even though there's fear. And I think that's the real lesson there of courage. You are uncomfortable because fear is uncomfortable, but you're choosing to move towards, and not just anything, right? Because that's just the silly discomfort like I talked about earlier, like smashing your hand with a hammer. No, this is discomfort in the direction of something meaningful, into something of service of something greater. That was one of my mottos for a long time. One was do what scares you until fear has no power to stop you. And then as I started, that was my own motto. And then as I started to step into leadership and helping other people and doing things that were uncomfortable, not just for myself, but for others, then I realized do what scares you in the service of something greater. And that something greater could be, your own life, for your family, for your career, for your relationships, for your future partner who you haven't met yet, right? So just think about that. In any given moment, you can be choosing courage or you could be choosing comfort. You might say, Aziz, I don't feel very courageous right now. We confuse a feeling of power, of faith, of confidence with courage. And say, well, I want to walk over towards those people and feel like it's going to go really well. That's a mixture of confidence and faith right there. That's not courage. Now, courage might unlock confidence and faith. So if let's say you want to have more ease and comfort approaching people you don't know and starting conversations or asking someone out, right? You're very, very far from feeling at ease right now. Trust me, I know what that's like. And so what is going to create that? Well, we're all looking for the hack. We're all looking for what's the 2-minute pickup line YouTube video that's going to help me with this. The truth is, the reality is, what's going to help you with this is the muscle of courage that you build for weeks or months to create an extraordinary, not just social life, but life. So it's you choosing courage daily, again and 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 again. And then you get rewarded with confidence and faith. Now, you could be doing things. I teach people how to do this to build these things. And if you haven't already got it, by the way, go to my website at draziz.com, draziz.com, and get my 5 steps to unleash your inner confidence free mini course. Videos and an ebook that'll teach you the principles I guide clients through to unlock these things. So I'm not saying there's nothing you can do, but if you're not choosing courage, nothing else you do is going to matter. It's all going to be theoretical. It's all going to be like, I have the greatest mindset that I read or the affirmations that I tell myself, and they all just evaporate into nothing when you're actually faced with the situation in your life. Isn't it true? Have you seen this in your life? So we need to do something different. We need to start choosing courage daily, not choosing comfort. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like becoming aware of the moments in which you are steering towards the comfort side of things. And so let's give a few simple examples, right? Let's say you wake up in the morning. Do you hit snooze or do you get up? That might seem like an insignificant moment, but you're choosing comfort or a certain kind of courage, right? The courage to face the day. How about maybe what do you have any sort of morning practices? It might take courage to not engage in something. So if you don't have any morning practices and you flip over, hit snooze 3 times, and then you finally are forced to get up because you're like, I'm going to be late to work. Then you grab your phone and you start dinking around on some site that's checking something that either makes you more stressed or releases dopamine. And you can start to question, like, is this comfort or is this courage? And now it might not seem that courageous to not grab your phone and use a bunch of stuff on it in the morning, but it does take a certain kind of courage. What is the courage? Well, it's a courage to go into the fear or the discomfort of being with yourself, of being with your feelings, because most of us are uncomfortable with our own self and our own feelings for any length of time. And so just to be with yourself for a minute might be uncomfortable and not reaching for that distraction. Now, you could go further with this. Maybe you could have a practice you do each morning that makes you a little uncomfortable, but it strengthens you because you're leaning in. It takes courage to do it. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. What about meditation or physical strength? Those are the 2 things that I do in the morning. I do meditation with some Wim Hof breathing, and then a physical strength training workout. Nothing crazy. I meditate for about 30 minutes, and then I do about 30 minutes of strength training, sometimes as low as 20. And what does it do? You're just priming yourself. When I say go in, the reason I'm giving these simple examples, because you might hear this and say, like, okay, I got to do the scariest, hardest, most brutally uncomfortable thing, and that scares me because that's how I'm going to build the courage. Courage isn't like that. Courage is, think about it much more like a muscle. And if you want to strengthen any muscle or you want to get better at running or whatever, you're going to say like, all right, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to just fucking run till my face bleeds, right? No, I don't even know how you do that. What are you getting stung by wasps as you run? But in any case, that's not the most intelligent way to build that muscle, right? It's going to be run consistently and slowly lean into your edge. Same thing with physical training. Same thing with your courage muscle. You do it consistently and you lean into your edge. And that's why I'm framing it as a choice that you can make many times per day. Another way to look at this, besides just looking at those daily choices, and I started with the morning routine, but this could be done when you get to work, right? Do you open up your browser and just do the comfortable stuff that's is not that productive and sets you up for a terrible day because it just jacks your mind and puts you into reactive mode? Like sitting down at your desk and being like, all right, what emails should I look at today? Right? Versus you come into work, you're like, I know what I'm going to be focused on for my first work block. I got 90 minutes of uninterrupted time to focus on my top priority task, and then I'll check email. Maybe better yet, I'll do it, after I've really focused and created something or accomplished something. Right? So there's 101 examples. I'm just giving you a few of them. And of course, you could look at it socially as well. Here I am. I'm in that meeting right now. Do I choose the comfort of not making eye contact, not speaking up, staying small, being unavoidable, or being avoidable, I should say. Being unavoidable might be courage, right? You will not avoid me. Here I am, right? So that's the opposite side. Is you choose courage in that meeting? And I don't know what it would look like for you in your life, in your circumstances, moment to moment, your work life, your social life, your dating life, your family life, your health, whatever it is. But you will know when you start to look. Where is the opportunity for courage? Might be a great question to write down somewhere and have yourself see it visible. Where is my opportunity for courage today or right now? Now, here's another fun way to think about your courage and how to tap it every day and how to choose it more regularly. I was hiking around a little trail we have around our property here in the woods, and I was doing it with my 2 boys in the morning. We usually try to get about 30 to 40 minutes outside before they go to school with them each morning. And there's this little incline. It's not that steep at part of the trail. And we were jogging at parts of it, and we got down to the bottom right before this incline. And my son, Armand, put his hand on my chest, and he said, "I can't feel your heartbeat," because he was feeling his heartbeat. He's like, "My heart's beating so fast, Daddy." So I put my hand on his heart, and I could feel it beating really fast. And he put his hand on my chest. He's like, "I don't feel your heart." And I said, "Well, we're not running that fast to make my heart beat." And he said, "Oh, well, can you make it beat fast?" I was like, "Yeah, I could run up this hill." And he's like, "Okay, do it." So I sprinted up the hill as fast as I could. And I get to the top. I'm huffing and puffing. My heart's beating out of my chest, right? So he catches up and he's like, "Well, that was really fast." And he puts his hand on my chest and he's like, "I can feel your heartbeat." And I said, "Yeah. When you feel your heartbeat fast, that's how you know you're alive." It just came to me in the moment. It just felt true. And he said, "Well, you're alive even if your heart's beating slower." And I said, "Yeah, that's technically true. But if your heart doesn't beat fast once per day, then maybe you're not fully alive." And he kind of gave me like a confused look, and then we continued on the path. But afterwards, I was like, "Whoa, I like that. That's true in my experience." And I'm going to invite you. It's just another playful way to think about this and hold this stuff. This stuff meaning this confidence growth practice. Because we got to think creatively, how do we keep ourselves motivated to do the uncomfortable stuff? And so I said, you know what? To be more alive every day, I'm going to get my heart beating fast. So what does that look like? Well, it could be a physical thing. I'm not saying it always has to be a social thing. So maybe, but there's a way to work out or jog where you're kind of just like, but if you sprint, boom, your heart's beating fast. If you lift something really heavy or try to max on something, you're like, whoa, your heart starts to pound. Right? So you got the physical side of it. But even then, you notice how you got your body kicked into gear and you're actually really using it, not just going through the motions in this comfort zone, gray bubble of meh. Right? So that's a way to get your heart beating faster. Take a cold shower. Your heart will beat fast often right before you even turn on the water with anticipation. And then boom, that water hits you. Your heart will start beating fast. I promise you. What else can you do? Well, there's a client I was working with. He's in my mastermind program. And he's about 4 months in and making some really good progress. And he said, just the last 2 weeks, I felt really kind of flat, like just not as much life energy, not as excited, just kind of meh. And he's like, I realized for the first 3 months of the program, I was really leaning in and practicing and, doing stuff that scared me and starting to grow faster. And then the last 2 weeks, I've started to just pull back, kind of go into some of my old patterns. I said, aha. And he said, so, and this is without me even prompting him or anything. He just announced it to the group. He said, so, it was like a Tuesday. This was the group call. And he said, okay, so since Sunday, it had been 3 days. Each day I've just done something outside of my comfort zone, embarrassment inoculation, do something strange in public just to push that edge again. And the thing he'd done that morning on a Tuesday morning, I think he's in New York. Yeah, he's in New York. So crowded subway, right? And he's in the subway. They got these bars across near the ceiling that you can hold on to. So in case you're wobbling around as it starts and stops. And he grabs a hold of those bars and just starts doing pull-ups in the subway. Nothing crazy, but if you're breaking the cultural field, and you do something outside of it, even if it's as simple as pull-ups on a bar on a subway, or push-ups on a sidewalk, or dancing on a sidewalk. Have you ever done any of that stuff? Which I definitely encourage people to do in my mastermind, at my events, my live and virtual events. We have people doing this stuff because it shows something to you. It shows you that you can, in a playful way, a non-aggressive, it doesn't harm or bother anybody. But you'll see how much you freak out, how uncomfortable it is, how much your heart will beat fast before you do something silly that doesn't even matter. And the purpose of all those is to free yourself. Because if you can do that kind of stuff, then you can walk over and say hi to somebody, or you can ask somebody for their number, or you can say no to a request from a colleague. It's all the same thing. So, what are you going to do? In fact, that is a great question, isn't it, for your action step? So, let's talk about your action step for today. Your action step is going to be to do something today that makes your heart beat fast. That's a little scary or uncomfortable. That takes courage. So basically what I'm saying is exercise your courage muscle today and try to pick something that makes your heart beat faster. Now, I gave some examples about the morning time, waking up, not hitting snooze, and just getting up right away. That's a great little exercise of courage because it's right there in the morning, starts to prime you for the whole day. But I mean, if that makes your heart beat fast, I don't know. You either got some like heart problem or your day is really freaking exciting that when you wake up and get out of bed, your heart just starts thumpity thumping real excited. Like, in which case, what do you got going on? Because I want some of that. I want some of that juice. So that's going to be your action step for today. Thank you so much for being with me. I'd love to hear about you and your journey and your experience. So if you ever want to reach out to me, go to draziz.com, draziz.com. There's a under the About tab, there's a contact me. You can send me a message through there. I'd love to hear from you and hear about your growth and just really support you on your journey any way that I can. Until we speak again, may I have the courage to be who you are, to know on a deep level that you are awesome.